What's going on, fishy friends? I had a few minutes late in the day here at the office and thought I'd try to shoot a video quick. I have a lot of trouble shooting this tank. I got a real big window behind me, and it causes quite a glare when I'm trying to film. And of course right now it looks like there are 0 fish in this tank. As I've said before, for some reason my African cichlids are a bit skittish. They often hide to the point where it looks like there's actually no fish whatsoever in this tank. There are 12 or possibly 13 fish in this tank right now. Overall, everybody's looking good. As I said the other day, I assumed I had an all-male Mbuna tank here, as that was my original intent, because I didn't want to have to deal with fry. And I do have one baby in the tank. There is one fry in there. Obviously, whatever bred initially, I'm sure had more than one baby. So, I'm not exactly sure what happened to the rest, but there is still one in there. If it's made it this far, I guess there's a good chance it might survive. I'm not doing anything to try to make sure it does survive. I'm not doing anything out of the ordinary on this tank. But there's some of the fish, finally. As I've said in the past, I do have plans to try to get some more fish and sort of increase the stock level in this tank. A nice surprise to me is that I don't see too much aggression in this tank. There's a bit here and there. I guess there are enough hiding spaces, enough different areas that nobody really gets too pissed at anybody else. And I don't see anything any more than maybe a tiny bit of chasing, a tiny bit of fin nipping here and there. Every once in a while a fish looks a little ratty. But nothing too bad. Usually they heal up. So everything for the most part is doing pretty well. The closer I get to the tank, the quicker they run away. Let's see, if we focus over on this area here with some of my smaller limestone and stuff like that, that's where that baby likes to hang out. This is a spot that I guess is too small for the larger fish to fit into, and it makes that small guy feel real comfortable. Don't see him right now. There's a reflection of one of the fish back there. The fry doesn't seem to mind being near that one. I'm not sure if that's the Demasoni back there or not. You can sort of see it in the reflection. But it makes me wonder if that might be one of the parents of the baby, because that fry does not mind being near that fish. That fish seems to have definitely established that corner as its own. And he has established this corner as his own. That's my red top Trebovase there. He kind of hangs out right in this spot pretty often. I've not moved around any of my rocks or decorations in a while, and I'm starting to see some territories be established, you know, and sort of know who is taking up residency in that particular spot. So of course, now that I got the camera out and filming, I don't see that fry anywhere. Maybe somebody can school me on this. Fry, I believe, is the proper way to refer to multiple baby fish. Is fry still the right term to use when talking singular? I personally don't know. Maybe somebody out there does and can let me know. I'm also curious if anybody knows the origin of that word. I don't understand why the hell you call baby fish fry. I suppose that's a topic for another video altogether, though. Usually by now I see that little guy pop out somewhere. I had seen him earlier in the day. I have no reason to believe he's met his demise in the past hour or two. But it can be difficult to find. It is a pretty tiny fish, that's for sure. But I can actually notice a marked improvement in size. It's definitely been growing in the roughly, I don't know if it's 5, maybe 7 days since I first noticed that fish in there. I'm still blown away that it even happened, because I didn't notice any fish that looked like they were holding. Anybody not familiar with African cichlids, they are a mouth brooder, meaning that the female will hold the eggs in her mouth and raise the babies in their mouth for, I'm not exactly sure how long, but she'll hold those live fish for a little while at the very least, and usually it's pretty visible. You know, you can see a what looks like a mouthful of eggs, or a mouthful of babies, or a mouthful of something. And I didn't see anybody that looked like that. In the days or so leading up to me finding that fry, that ice blue right there was looking a little ratty. The tail was actually looking ratty again. I wonder if that was anything to do with it. Actually, that fish almost does look like it's got a bulge in the bottom of its jaw right there. I have a funny feeling that might be the female, which potentially explains why it had been picked on. Kind of doing a dance right there with the... what's that, a red zebra, I guess that is. I have such a hard time remembering the names of all these damn fish. Most of my other tanks, I feel pretty knowledgeable when I'm talking about species names, at least as the fish go. My plants, I have trouble keeping track of. But for some reason, these cichlids, I just can't remember the names of these damn things. If anybody's interested, this is that tank that I run a wet-dry system on. There's an overflow box up there that comes down using some Spaflex flexible PVC. Comes down there into that first chamber. That fills up and then overflows into that drip tray. I'm in need of changing that filter pad there. Down into the wet-dry area here. All those bio balls are exposed to a little bit of water and a whole lot of oxygen, which is a great environment for the bacteria to grow and thrive. Down into there, up and over the sponge, back into the return chamber that you can't really see, and the return pump sends it back up over there to that line lock, I don't know what the hell you call it, and into the tank. I also run an AC 50? 70? I figure a little extra filtration never hurt anybody. And as I've said earlier, I do have plans to really heavily stock this tank at some point in time. So having that extra filter is a good idea. Down here is my automatic top-off reservoir. And I've got everything wired up to sort of be maintenance, well, I don't want to say maintenance-free, but I try to make things as automated as possible on this tank since it is my tank at the office. And I'm not here every day. So the weekends, this tank gets zero feeding, zero maintenance. And having that top-off reservoir really, really helps. So I got it all set up with some float switches in the sump, as well as up here in the main display tank. Certain switches are safety switches, so that way I don't ever overflow anything and have a big mess, and certain switches are simply for the top-off system. And then I got some things controlled here. 2 different switches, one for the top-off pump, one for the main pump, and some LED lights just to let me know if either of them is on or off for any particular reason. Well, it's been a couple of minutes here and still no sign of that fish, and we're coming to the end of my video, so it's about time for me to sign off and say goodbye. Comment, rate, subscribe, hit that subscribe button below. Follow Rich's Fishes on Instagram, and let me know your thoughts. Alright guys, I'll talk to everybody soon.